Greetings to you from wherever you're watching us. This is Tuesday edition of the show. Promise to be exciting as always. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Well, as usual, there's a lot for you on the show tonight. We will be talking about an unfortunate incident, talking about Super Eagles goalkeeper as confirmation that he's going to be out for 6 months. We're going to be talking about him on the show. How impressed were you with Francis Uzor in the game against Brazil? A lot of people think he did well and makes the injury kind of leave a sore taste in our mouths. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the league. Of course, it's no longer news that all the people, critical stakeholders have agreed that the league will start on November the 3rd. We'll talk about that on the show as well. As we speak, a lot of matches going on in Europe, talking about the Euro 2020 qualifiers. We'll do our best to let you know what's going on, the results, the teams that have qualified. We'll talk about that on the show as well. We'll also touch base with some sports on the domestic scene. We'll give you a slice of handball, talk a little about badminton, give you a slice of wrestling as well. What's been happening with our wrestlers, we'll let you know. Some of them are moving up on the rankings. We'll let you know about all of that on the show tonight. We'll also take a look, a sneak peek at what's going to be match day one in the upcoming Nigeria Professional Football League. We'll take a look. A lot of people are already talking about which game is going to be the star match, which game is going to be a big draw. We'll talk about all of that on the show tonight. Okay, so let's bring you into all that we're doing on the show. Let's allow you to be a part of the show. Let's allow you, give us your opinion on all of the issues we've raised on this show. Just giving you an outline of what this show is going to be like tonight. So let's know how you feel about some of it. And perhaps there's something you want us to talk about that I didn't talk about in the rundown. You can also let us know. So on Facebook, hit us up, Channels-Sports, and on Twitter, at Channels_Sports. That's how you can get your views across and to let us know how you feel. We need not emphasize that we're global, we're international, and once you speak, your voice is heard across the globe. Okay, so, all right, so that's it. Let's make it interesting and interactive as usual. And like we always like to let you know, the conversation never ends. You can also read up on all our top stories. You have them on www.channelstv.com. You can view those stories live as well, youtube.com/channelsweb. It's where you go to view us live and see all of those top stories. You can also go to m.channelstv.com for your iPad and iPhone. You follow the prompt, you'll be able to view us live and know what we're doing. Of course, you gets better. You can download the Channels TV app for your Android and iOS from the respective stores. And once you do that, you'll be able to carry your award-winning Channels television with you everywhere you go around the globe. And that ensures that you're not missing out on anything that is available, that is on offer on your award-winning Channels television. All right, so let me quickly introduce my partner and start off the show with me today. And of course, we will take that trip on this money-spinning world of sports. I'll be your captain. He'll assist me all through, and hopefully we're able to land the ship safely. Okay, Kennedy Idris joins me today, and it's good to have you with me once again.
It's good to be here once again, and it's becoming something of a regular, and it's very enjoyable with you. I think today we have more of some sweet news rather than last week that we had more of the sad.
Gloomy. Yeah. All right, so that's it. Let's start off talking wrestling on the show today. It's always heartwarming when you talk wrestling on the domestic scene because it's always something positive to talk about. And of course, let's talk tonight. We'll start off talking about Commonwealth champion Adekuoroye, always competing in the 57 kilogram category for the ladies. She's moved up one step in the latest ranking, and she's now the second best wrestler in the world in our weight class. And she's also, and let's also spare a thought for Blessing Oborodudu, the nighttime African champion. She has climbed to number 4 in our own 68 kilogram category. And that's very good. Really, really heartwarming. In the latest rankings released by the United World Wrestling United World Wrestling, the governing body of the sport. Adekuoroye, who won a bronze medal at last month's World Championship in Kazakhstan, is now second with 73 points, 3 points behind 2018 world champion Lin Rong of China, while Norwegian Grace Bullens is placed third with 66 points. So Oborodudu, who is also a Commonwealth gold medalist herself, is in fourth place with 48 points, behind a lot of illustrious names, Anna Franstin, Alla Chekasova of Ukraine, and one athlete from Mongolia as well. She's trailing all of them, but she's in the fourth position. Nigeria's duo of Blessing Oyebushi and Mercy Genesis are ranked 15 and 18 respectively in their own weight class, while Commonwealth champion Aminat Adeni is ranked 20th in the world. The African champion Sumisola Balogun is also ranked 12th in the 65-kilogram category class with 18 points. In the men's freestyle category, Emmanuel Ogbonna John is placed 14th in the 74-kilogram weight class with 18 points. The three-time African champion is the only Nigerian male wrestler in the top 20 across 10 weight classes. The ladies always making us smile, always giving us something to talk about. And of course, no Nigerian made it into the top 20 in the Greco-Roman style. So I guess that's something we need to work on. But Kendi, I think you look at all of this and you want to be happy with the growth in wrestling.
Exactly. I think
from one heartwarming news to the other.
You know, when Daniel Igali was fighting for Nigeria and maybe things didn't work out, and then he shipped out, he renationalized to being a Canadian, and then he had that illustrious career, and immediately he retired. Straight, he came back to Nigeria. I don't know what he told Canada, if I'm still part of you guys, but everything he had done since he retired is been, giving back to Nigeria. And since that man got into the aims of affairs of the wrestling, federation, it's been growth after growth. Yes, these names have always been there. We've always known what they can do. But standing, standing tall in the world,
shoulder
to shoulder with top athletes around the world when it comes to wrestling is something that even, is even more, is sweeter. Now, you're talking about Bless, you're talking about Amina, you're talking about a whole lot of names. Before it used to be maybe Odunayo all the way, then Blessing comes in place. But now, in almost 6, categories, you're talking of Nigerians holding their own 14th place, 20th place is no mean feat. Because if you look at how many wrestlers are in that same category, over 1,000. And if you're ranked 20th in the world, then you're doing something fantastic. But, very, very good one. But for the men, I think maybe the male kidder is tougher, or maybe the men are not just ready to step up yet. Because I could remember an interview with Daniel Igali saying, I think the women have shown that even if we go to bed without some preparations, they can hold their own. I give a lot more to the men's category to see how they can, hold their own against against top athletes around the world. And it's still a work in the build. Let's enjoy the one that we still have on ground, and then we go to the ones, like I always say, build on your strength and then see how you can manage your weaknesses. But the sadness, in all of this whole scenario, Blessing Odunayo, you see them go as far as the IPL, Indian Premier League, where, almost the cream de la cream in wrestling wants to be there. Everybody wants to fight in China. What is happening to our wrestling locally in our league? I'm not saying there is no wrestling happening here, but how are we harnessing those talents? How are we helping them to grow from just raw talent to refining and helping them to be world beaters? I think with all of these successes, we should be able to do more, in our own immediate environment.
Yeah, I do agree with you. In as much as a lot of praise, a lot of commendation should go to Daniel Igali and his board, but because of they're being judged by how good
the athletes are performing.
Sometimes your success could be your albatross.
Yeah, of
sometimes.
course.
And I guess we're now beginning to become an Oliver Twist and begin to ask for more.
That is what,
because we know
that is what the fans do.
Yeah.
We always want more.
We
always
want more
want
because you know they have the capacity
Of course.
to deliver.
This is combat sport. I think combat sport is like meant for an average African. You have the strength in you. Just add a little science. When I mean science, techniques, tactical ideas, and then the world is shocked at what you can do. So we should just build on that.
All right. So I guess on this show, maybe we just do our best to call on well-meaning Nigerians, corporate bodies, sponsors. Just let's just put heads together and see what we can do for wrestling.
Under 15, under 17,
you know,
all of this competition.
I mean, there's so much potential
so much,
in that
so
sport,
much.
and we can become world beaters.
Yes, of course.
And organizationally, talking about administratively, it's going to be very hard to fault these guys.
Yeah.
But some of the things that we expect them to do, some of the things we think they should be doing, they would need
the ministry, of course,
support, and all of that. And I'm very sure
it's like
they have plans.
Yes, they do. Competition organization. You can see how we're stepping up in Nigeria. Delta, Port Harcourt, Rivers, Port Harcourt, Nigeria, Bayelsa. We've seen badminton.
Africa is already coming
Africa is already coming. Even the world is coming. And, because they've seen you organize competitions, but we've seen more of the indoors. And wrestling is an indoor competition. So, key into this. And maybe after, because someday Daniel Legali's board will leave, and then you will leave a template where a structure where others will just come seamlessly, just follow.
All right, so that's it. We need to move on the show, and we've talked about wrestling. So let's talk about handball. And of course, we've been monitoring handball. A lot has been happening, especially in this phase 2, the games coming in thick and fast. So let's start today. Take a look at match day 11, the results, and we'll go through it. We'll start with the guys, as usual. Start with the guys. Take a look at the results. Kende is going to tell me what he feels about some of the results in case there are any surprises. Let's start with Plateau Vipers losing to Kano Pillars 22 points to 31. Niger United defeating Borno Spiders 40 points to 28. You have Prison Key Boys losing to COS Shooters. That's 25 points to 43. You have Shokoto Rima losing to Kada Stars 28 to 31. Owena Kings also losing to Lagos Seasiders. All of this match day 11 results. You still have, I think, a match to be played later on. Safety Shooters and the Defenders. When it's played, we'll let you know. Right, that's for the guys.
Yeah.
For the guys. Just hold your thoughts.
Okay.
And let's talk about let's see the results for the ladies. And so that we just do it together. Let's flip. All right, that's it. Defender Babes losing to Seasider Babes 25 points to 35. You have Edo Dynamos beating Abia Valiants 41 points to 19. That's close to a blowout, really.
It's a blowout.
And Desert Queens 23 points to 15. They defeated the winner Queens. Kada Queens, close game, but they lost to Plateau Peacocks by a point, 23 to 24. And you have Safety Babes also losing to Imo Grasshoppers, 25 points to 30. So let's just pause on this before we take a look at the fixtures. Kende, your thoughts? I think you talked about, was it last time you were here talking about?
Lagos Seasiders and Kano Pillars for the men. And, looking at the results, you can see that they are having a very good streak, a very good run. Talking about how the league is a marathon. But when you see good teams, they keep, going in there and getting those results. And you can see Lagos Seasiders, taking out Owena Kings. Owena Kings have been very fantastic too. They've been a good side. So I've wanted to see this game. And I've got affiliation with Lagos, so I'm happy that it ended that way. But, if Owena Kings were to be playing some other teams, I would definitely go for Owena Kings. Then for Plateau Vipers against Kano Pillars, I talked about Kano Pillars being, becoming an institution, not just, about football or about basketball. Kano Pillars has got a hand in almost everything. So reason why
Ideal
Sports Club, so reason why I actually did back them up. And I like, what I'm seeing. It's still early days, match day 11, but things are shaping up already. We're seeing, teams that are already rearing their heads at the top. Lagos Seasiders, Kano Pillars, and even the Kada Stars are also, doing something right. I think handball never knew it is living so well in the north. And I can see northern teams really doing something fantastic. Then for the female, the only team I was looking out for is the Imo Grasshoppers, because I've always heard the Grasshoppers right from, when handball was dead. They still kept the chunk of, the team. They kept it going. And when the league resumed back, we saw them, standing at tall and fantastic one. So let's see how the whole thing keep unfolding. And Sam Ocheo's team, I love the way they manage all of the excesses. Yes, maybe it's not like football or basketball that you have a lot of persons coming to work, but we still had a good number, going into the indoor sports hall to see games, whether it's the away team they are coming to see or the home team, and they are well coordinated. I don't know what they are being told, but I saw them, showing a whole lot of emotions, but in the right way. Just keep screaming, turning into coach, supporting your team, turning to coaches on, right where they are seated. You would have thrown it this way. Fantastic one, and it should just continue that way. We shouldn't get to a desperate point.
All right, so I agree with you all the way. Okay, so let's take a look at match day 12 fixtures now, since we're done with the results. So let's take a look at the fixtures and see some of the games that, probably would be something to behold. Let's start with the winner Kings taking on Prison Key Boys, match day 12. Lagos Seasiders up against Sokoto Rima. Bono Spiders up against US Shooters. You have Safety Shooters up against Niger United. Kada Stars up against Plateau Vipers. And you have Kano Pillars up against the Defenders. These are the fixtures for the men. For the men, just give your thoughts. I know you just wrap up everything. And for the ladies, you have Ghana Police taking on Edo Dynamos. You have Imo Grasshoppers taking on Seasider Babes. You have Plateau Peacocks taking on Safety Babes. Before we leave handball altogether, your thoughts on some of these fixtures? If somebody's asking you, look, I want to enjoy handball, which one of these games should I look forward to? Which one of these games you think is going to be worth my time sitting down?
Yeah, I think the Kano Pillars versus the Defenders would be a massive game. Kano Pillars, yes, huge, but the Defenders are also not a push-aside team, so that will be very, very massive. And for the Lagos Seasiders against Sokoto Rima, Sokoto Rima had not had a good run. Not having a bad run, but not a good run like expected. So maybe they are looking for an overturn. And if there is a team...
Since the league is ending tomorrow, I think you should have your usual suspects. Who you think is going to...
Already, we've seen two teams being outstanding. We've seen two teams. So, you just want to live on a high. That is why I was going with Sokoto Rima. They also want to live on a high. If you beat Lagos Seasiders, whether you end up at the bottom or not, I think that might be a positive you take from that and then go to the next season. So Lagos Seasiders and Kano Pillars outstanding, and we're waiting to see what this final game would portend.
All right, so...
for the female,
for the ladies,
of course, it's Imo Grasshoppers.
Okay. And they'll be up against Seasider Babes.
Seasider Babes.
But you think...
No, Seasider Babes, no disrespect.
No disrespect.
No disrespect. I'm going with Imo Grasshoppers.
Okay, all right. We have a few minutes before we go on the break.
Okay.
I think, let me just ask you, because we're going to go on a break shortly, but let me just ask you, how impressed have you been? I know you've said quite a lot already.
Yeah.
But let's just see, in spite of how impressed we are, what are the areas you think this handball league, phase 2, probably areas that could be improved upon?
Areas that could be improved upon would be, I want to see more teams. Yeah, I like the number of teams I've seen, but I want to see more teams because I go around and I see handball. I've seen players stop me on the way and talk about how can I get to be involved in handball and all. When Sam Ocheo, we met before the league started, and he said the league will be starting. I had a bit of a doubt. How are you going to put all of this? But come today, fantastic one. But sponsors is what we keep talking about.
Right.
It's not flamboyant. It should be flamboyant. This is handball. In the 80s and the 70s, is one of those sports that people talked about. So, maybe the
that's the missing link.
That's the missing link. Just bring something in and then it gets more flamboyant.
All right. Okay, so that's it. As the piece of advice coming from Kehinde Idris. Let's just get, more people, sponsors. Let's make it flamboyant. Let's make it exciting. All right, we need to go on a break, and when we return from that break, see so much for you on Sports Tonight. Join us again. All right, welcome back. Before before we went on that break, we were talking about handball, some results, and of course, we also hinted that everything ends tomorrow, and of course, a winner will emerge in both categories for the men and for the ladies. But let's also talk about something that is very interesting. The Minister of Youth, Minister for Youth and Sports, talking about Sunday Diary, has praised the board of the Handball Federation of Nigeria for developing the game. I mean, just like what we're saying here, everything they've done has not gone unnoticed. And he says he promises to have a better relationship with the federation because of the good work that he feels they are doing. I visited the venue of the 2019 Handball Premier League that's going to end tomorrow at the Roe Park Center. And when he was there, he said he couldn't just pass the opportunity of seeing some of the games. So he saw two matches, and he was quite impressed with the level of play and organization of the league. And like they say, pictures don't lie. We're seeing the pictures, and it looked good.
He doesn't even tell Father. And he had a lot to say. He said one of the reasons why I stopped and saw all of this is that I just want to let everybody know I'm a sport minister.
I'm not a minister of football.
I'm not a minister of football. Everything sports comes under me.
I'm going to support you.
If there is any name that it is easy, or if there are names that it is easy for you to key in that are outside of football, Sam Ocheho's name. Yes, maybe it's the Handball Federation, but Sam Ocheho's name rings bell. Come last year, almost every award, individual award that is going to administrators in different federations, Sam Ocheho and Francis Obi always, had this, then Amaju Pinnick always had this, fight for who takes the gong. So that is how well they've worked. So, why not help them since they've been helping themselves? Since they say, you are like heaven that helps those who help themselves. Now the minister has seen them, has seen the organization. I believe without anybody telling him, he had also seen gray areas where they can easily just help in helping them get better. And
he promised the support of the ministry in terms of funds and other logistics. And when you hear that, you're really happy. It's heartwarming.
It is.
But let's listen to the sports minister, Sunday Diary, in his own words, talk about how impressed he is with the Handball Federation and what he intends to do to help not just Handball Federation, but all other federations, and just to emphasize that he is the Minister of Sports, not just football.
In private money and private participation into sports development is the only way we can succeed. The formula cannot be different for this country because we've seen other countries in Europe and America, North America, that's private-public participation. And I've driven that when it comes to facility management, upgrade, and maintenance. I've been to the stadia across the country. I'm talking to quite a number of people, from Dangote to, I'll just keep their names for now, but there's a process going on. But I'm glad to see this model work. We're having conversations with the banks, the financial institutions. We're talking to other A-grade companies to come into sports development. Recall also that apart from football, we've seen some of them also show interest. We like what's going on in football, but then we're going to also drive attention and resources towards other sports. I did promise I will not be a football minister. This is a testimony to it. I've watched basketball games. I'm here for handball. I've watched taekwondo. I've watched table tennis. I've watched badminton. And that's the way it's going to be. We're going to give this sport full attention and support that it deserves. The ministry on its part will not only find some level of funding for them, but the ministry will work with them to also bring on some private companies that will support their work. I did promise him that I want to see his plan for January next year when they're going for, international championships, not just support for the league. And then we'll work with him to find one or two big companies or individuals that will bankroll that. And I think that's the model we're going to work on. Government does not have enough funds as it is. There are so many competing demands. Sports development is important, but private partnership is critical, and we're developing a business model around sports. Once that business model is fully developed, we start to implement it incrementally. I think we're going to see sports development begin to pace up over time.
All right, all the right words said, and from this end, it's heartwarming to hear those words coming from the sports minister. Yeah. And what some people have called the movement. It's going everywhere. I mean, showing support and just letting us know, look, I'm not going to be a minister of football, and that's been the problem with a lot of people. A lot of his predecessors.
Yes, even when he came in and he was talking about national stadiums through Liberty Stadium in Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Abuja Stadium, going there to see. A lot of persons have asked, hope this is not another football minister, but he's now showing. Another market thing he said is, the government doesn't have fund, but I would help this federation get an individual or corporate body to bankroll some. I've said it, the government can be like a father figure that helps. What do you need? Okay, this is where you can get it. How do you need it? Okay, this is how we can help you. You don't have to always get them money.
Yeah, just structures.
Because if the sport ministry is talking to a body, it carries more weight than the Handball Federation talking to the same body. It's like the father had come in to the whole discussion, and it helps even better. And he said, I'll give you the full support and attention that you rightfully deserve, because they had seen what they are doing, and they deserve all of the support.
I agree with you. All right, so let's switch and talk badminton on the show. Let's really take this out of the way. Let's talk about it. Badminton, the curtains were drawn on the National Badminton Championship at the Police College Badminton Complex in Ikeja, Lagos. A lot of surprises, a couple of upsets as well. So, for some, it was redemption. Some won back
what they used to have.
what used to belong
to
them. And the first finals, women's doubles event produced new set of winners. We have, from Kwara State, a combination of Zainab Damilola Alabi and Sophia Dakinola. Obanishola. I mean, new names. Coming into it. And guess what? They outclassed Ogun State's pair of Nigeria and Africa's #1 women singles player, as Dorcas Adeshokon, and her partner as Azizat Ogunkombi, to take home the gold medal in that event.
In that category.
And for the guys, brought about the reversal of the second edition's outcome, where Nigeria's and Africa's #1 player, that's Anolu Opoyori, defeated his fiercest rival. Talking about Lagos State player, Nigeria's #2, Africa's #3, Godwin Olufua. I mean, very interesting matchups. Very interesting matchups in the women's singles event. Reigning queen of African badminton, talking about Dorcas Adeshokon, dispatched Ruth Chineye Iberi of Katsina State to retain gold medal that she won from the inception of. After
losing in the double, she won the single.
Very good consolation.
You know why? Do you know the beauty of the badminton championship? Our own national championship. You go against each other. Whoever outshines the other is like you're already directly an African champion. Because this is where the whole competition is even stiffer. Nigerians meet Nigerians in the final like every other time in the African tourneys. You hear, in the doubles, two Nigerian, playing each other. Or in the singles, two Nigerian meeting up in. So when you are
Nigerians representing other countries,
So when you are here and Dorcas Adeshokon can, outshine the other, or somebody is outshining Dorcas Adeshokon, it's like now you're already an African champion. So when you watch all of this, the names are there for you to know. Like the young ladies from Kwara, from Kwara that outshined, Dorcas and her partner. In Francis Obi's words, he said, yes, they are new names, but we know them. And we've always waited for the day they would take the crown, and maybe tussle for the crown. You take it, I collect it, but you take it. When the world or Nigerians can talk about them. But we know them. We see them like every other time. Training, little championship, maybe state championship and all. Now, you guys are talking about them, which is what we want. The more, the merrier. And when the African tourneys come, or the world tourney, which is where the Achilles heel still lie, let's see if, If Adeshoko is as good and somebody is able to, outshine her, then he gets it better. Now it is the lady who is outshining Adeshoko and Adeshoko going to represent badminton, and the world will get a shocker, which is, very good. Every day the growth is just ongoing.
All right, so that's it. Let's listen to some crucial stakeholders talking about the event that just concluded, and we come back for more sports tonight.
Yes, firstly I have to be calm because she wants to win, and you can see it from her. So I have to be calm and take things easy because I'm tired also. So I have to take my strokes one after the other, and I have to make her feel the court before I started playing hard ones. So that is why it seems like that, because in badminton you don't rush yourself, because once you rush yourself you put yourself under pressure. So I have to come gradually so I can meet up. Thanks to the federation, because the new federation has really put in their best to bring up so many tournaments. So the participation make us know our ability and makes the junior ones even participated with us and gain more, learn more about badminton, because they don't have the opportunity of playing outside. So by playing us, they learn and they gain. So thanks to the federation for bringing back all those tournaments.
The previous one, which is last year, the second edition, I lost to Godwin. But it is a lesson for me. It was a lesson for me that, okay, I lost last year, this year, what did I do that went wrong in my game? He's my training partner, actually, so we know ourselves. But you just need to believe in yourself. Most of the time now that we play local tournaments, it is for ranking for Nigerian players. In a country, there must be hierarchy, which there must be number 1, number 2, number 3 in each place, most especially in a country. So it means everything for Nigerian players because it is for ranking.
Fantastic impact, I must tell you. One of the things we promised the players when we came in was to give them a very busy calendar, because we recognize the fact it was one of the things they complained about before we came on board, that for so many years they didn't have national championships. And we realized that no matter how hard a player trains, if you don't play competition, there's no way to test what you have learned, during training. So for us, it was very key. And with that, now we know who our national number 1 is, number 2, number 3 in the different events. Because as you play competitions, you garner points, and then you separate the boys from the men. But I'll also say something, that this particular edition has been an eye-opener for us all. We had some major revelations, young players who came here to tell the senior ones that we are knocking on the door, sit up and get ready. And I can tell you the next 2-3 years, in fact, in this championship, we had a major upset where an unseeded player defeated the number 4 ranked in the country. And that was, it was the big one. And but in other areas, singles, men's singles, men's doubles, it was just like, in those events, those who won here are the African number 1. So if they had lost, it wouldn't have just been a national upset, but it would have been an African upset. And we are happy that they were able to hold their grounds, but also let the other players know that there's still a lot of work to be done.
All right, welcome back. Just listen to Dr. Adeshoko and Oluwapo Opoyeri, and of course the president of the federation talking about Francis Obi, all bearing their minds, talking about the just concluded championship, of course talking about the way forward. Kaide, I think there's really nothing to add to.
Yeah.
All talked about the
except
competition.
for what the president said. The players clamored for a national tourney because he doesn't even know who nationally who is number 1, 2, and all. And we gave them. And that is what happens when players, they are the real gladiators. They are the real MVPs here. When they set out a complaint, especially reasonable ones, then you just have to give it to them. And look at, everybody's happy at the end of the day.
All right, so that's it. We love to see that everyone happy and all things going the way we expect it to go. All right, let's talk about, well, they call it the king of sport, football. Let's talk football on the show, but we're going to start from home. Let's talk about this. Eagerly anticipated, talking about the start of the new Nigeria Professional Football League season. There's been a lot of shifts. There's been a lot of uncertainty. But now we know that it's going to hold. And the league management company and the club chairman held a meeting. And, of course, these are the key points from the meeting, the takeaways. The 2019-20 20 season will kick off. The kickoff date moved from October 20 to November 3rd. So it's going to start. All right, November 3rd. And you also have the league reverts to the original format of 20 clubs in a single log. There's not going to be abridged, this time.
Yeah.
You're going to play each other twice.
38
one at
games,
home,
sure.
one away. So nobody's going to tell us one champion, we're not worthy champions. They're not going to hear that. And the season, the 2019-2020 season, is going to end on May 30th, 2020. A lot of us have clamored that, look, let our league align with that of Europe, since that's where most of our players want to be, that's where they want to go and all that. It appears like we might get what we want, but this is Nigeria. One postponement here, a shift there, and before you know it, May 30 may not just be visible anymore. But it's commendable that the league is going to start. We have a way of making simple things very complicated,
Very complicated.
in this part of the world. It shouldn't get to this, but at least for some of us that just want to see something happen on the domestic scene, it's something to be happy about.
Yeah, it's something to be happy about. But am I happy? I guess no. I can remember when Sunday Dare, the sport minister, just maybe after speaking with somebody's or some setup said October 20 the league must start, and maybe that was a wake-up call
A lot
for
of
the
people
LMC.
woke up from their slumber.
They woke up from their slumber because that's the big man in town. He is the alpha and omega when you talk sports in Nigeria. And he's saying, start the league October 20. Okay, Oga, we can't start October 20. We'll buy like 2 weeks from, the October 20, and then we start November 3rd. And then I just saw the stakeholders meeting. Then I saw the draws. I don't understand how because there are a whole lot that goes, that goes for front before we hear all of this. How have the teams been registered? How have players that teams register have been registered to the LMC? How have a whole lot that had happened in the past have been prepared for not to happen? Security, all of those. I think for whatever reasons why they've not started the league, since the major thing we're hearing, maybe no money to execute this, to execute that. We're not talking security here. That had mad our league for a long period. We're not talking coverage. How are we beaming this league to every home out there in Nigeria? I'm not even particular about the world. Out there in Nigeria, how are we making this league viable, enjoyable, something that you can see and call your own? I'm talking of the average fan on the street out there.
How are you sure the clubs will meet up with the required standards
with the required standard
for registration?
Then the most important, what are you doing about player welfareism? These guys cry every now and then, especially at the end of the season, after working so hard. Now we're talking of 38 games. If I work for 38 games, I'll play the FA Cup, I'll play in the continental games, and then I'm not getting my welfare. I think it's sad. Are we treating all of this? Is it just about starting the league? But the positive.
We need to go on a break, but the few days we have, the few weeks we have left, can all of those issues be sorted?
Lie. In Nigeria,
in local palace.
Lie. And look at, you talked about May 30. The leagues that are playing 38 games started in August because there will be international break.
Yes.
There will be FA Cup. There will be...
It made allowance for all of those
Now
things.
we are prepared to put teams through torment again. They will be playing the Wednesday, Saturday.
Three games in 10 days.
We are prepared for that again. Why? Why did we play an abridged league? Why did we finish early? Maybe some people say...
We did that so that we could have time to fix this.
What happened? Nobody is asking questions. And if there is anybody asking questions, like maybe you and I have been doing, who is answering them? Nobody. The next thing we hear is, okay, may not forget, another league won't start. And then we start to cover it again as usual. And then we start to hear, Book of Lamentation being opened. I've said, why can't we go for 2 weeks break? If we go without playing continental football, local football for 2 years, please, what will happen really?
The issues are there. The issues are there, but time not always our friend.
Okay.
When we're looking at all the issues. We need to go on the break now. When we return from the break, hopefully we'll wrap up with the local league and, of course, look at what is happening in Europe. Join us again. Welcome back. Well, if we decide to go on and on about the league, we won't have time to talk about any other thing. But let's talk about, let's just quickly show you what's going to be match day 1 in the Nigerian Professional Football League when it starts, hopefully, when it does start on November 3rd. So this is what it's going to look like. Of course, you have it. Wiki Tourists taking on Jigawa Golden Stars. You have Plateau United taking on Lobby Stars. Delta Force taking on Aqua Starlets. Canopilas taking on Rivers United. For some people, this is going to be a cracker. Yeah. You have Heartland taking on MFM. I hope Fidelis Ilechuku, you know, it's going to. I mean, it's going to be a strange experience for him. Yeah. Spend a lot of time with MFM, so we'll see what happens. FC Ifeanyi we take on Adamawa United in that one. So you also have Rangers taking on Sunshine Stars. Warri Wolves taking on Aqua United. I think this should be a decent game as well. Abia Warriors taking on Kasuna United. And the Aba Elephants, talking about Enyimba, will take on Nasarawa United. 30 seconds, Kende. Which one of this is your pick?
Definitely, it should be Kano Pillars against Rivers United because of their pedigree. Of course, everybody should see that game. It will be interesting. I don't know, it's a new season, but with what we know them to pretend, then it should be a good one. Yeah. But everybody wants to say Atlanta MFM. Yeah. Fidelis Ilechuku in the middle of the whole setup. Let's see if Fidelis Ilechuku is Fidelis Ilechuku MFM taking it directly to Atlanta, because he made, you know, MFM to be known with that beautiful way of playing football. Maybe he had, you know, done that with Atlanta. All right. We'll see that.
Okay, we'll see that. All right, so let's talk about this, and hopefully everything starts when is expected that it will start. Let's talk about Francis Uzoho on the show tonight. A lot of people were quite impressed with him in the game against Brazil, and you know, a lot of people. He's received a lot of flack in recent times for his performances, but in this particular game, this friendly, I mean, I could count like 4 or 5 very, very good saves. Yep. And when that injury came, I mean, it was like a blow. You know, because a lot of people were beginning to say, okay, if you could perform this well, then there's a lot of potential
against such attack that Brazil have.
Against Brazil,
and you know, I've said it severally to whoever cares to listen. Yemi, of all the guys that have been called, since Uzoho have been called to camp, of all the goalkeepers, for me, Uzoho still stands better. Well, even when he was having...
So having him out for 6 months is a massive blow.
I think we are going back to having a goalkeeper crisis now. Maduka Okoye, new goalkeeper, playing in the 4th league. In Germany with Dusseldorf, even not the first choice goalkeeper. So he comes in as a makeshift goalkeeper whenever the first choice has issues. Is there. Ikechukwu Ezenwa, that the coach defended himself when he was asked, why didn't you use him? He said he's not been active. Maybe when the league starts, Ikechukwu Ezenwa will get active. And now, are you going back to calling Daniel Akpeyi, who looks like he's doing something good with the Kaizer Chiefs in South Africa?
There's no justifiable reason for not inviting him in the first place.
Then, there are some goalkeepers that have got, you know, some good arguments in the league. Afelo High, you know, Olorunleke, a whole lot of them, you know, lined up there. Are you going back to searching for goalkeepers outside there? Maduka Okoye is as young as possible. He should be with the under-20 or something. Maduka Okoye looks like a goalkeeper that does not have such, you know, talent, such height of talent that should be in the Super Eagles, or talking about being the #1 if Uzoho will be out for 6 months because the qualifiers will start. Now, Ikechukwu Ezenwa, look like you're no more trusting the goalkeeper. Akpeyi, immediately after the Nations Cup, you acted disappointed in everything he showed that took the young man to even apologize to Nigerians for the Algerian game. He's been thrown out. What is really happening? Are we going back to, after we lost Carl Ikeme to leukemia?
I think we're back. I think we're back.
We're back at least for 6 months.
But I mean, let's show some sympathy for Francis
Uzoho. Yes. I'm very particularly sad, not just for Nigeria, but the young man is trying to make his way to that top at his club, and I think this is a huge setback.
And I think, in fairness to him, I think he's had to deal with a lot of criticism.
A whole lot.
I've not been impressed.
Yes.
I'm part of those people who were not impressed.
Yes.
But I saw the game against Brazil, and I was beginning to think, if you can do this well, not 100%, but at least for me to even score, listen, for me to even score Francis Uzor a 7/10, knowing how critical I've been of him, it's a massive leap.
I think
and to have that injury is a big blow.
It's a big blow. I think the issue had been really, I think these guys hear a lot what Nigerians say. It gets them even way, more than they should be ready for. Uzoho, after the World Cup, or even during the World Cup, going to the World Cup, is this guy good enough? Can he do this? Can he do that? Uzoho is 20, and you know, on his mind, he's playing every now and then. When he's up against an attacker saying, okay, Uzoho, just calm down. Let's just help. He's here. We are not the coach. The coach has selected him. Let him just do what he has to do.
All right.
And then we back him.
Okay, so
we hope he gets
wish him all the best.
Quicker recovery than the 6 months.
Than the 6 months that has been said.
Yep.
All right. Earlier we told you that there's a lot of football going on in the Euro 2020 qualifier. So before we wrap up the show, let's quickly show you the results of the just concluded matches in that's it right there on your screen. Gibraltar losing to Georgia 2-3. You have Switzerland beating Ireland 2-0. You have Faroe Islands, of course, defeating Malta 1-0. Romania played a 1-0 draw with Norway. These are the results right there. Sweden and Spain a 1-1 draw. Israel and Latvia 3-1. Finland beating Armenia 3-0. You have Greece defeating Bosnia-Herzegovina 2-1. And you have Liechtenstein losing to Italy 2-1. And that's it on your screen. The teams that have qualified: Belgium, Italy, Poland, Russia, and Ukraine booked their spots in the Euro 2020 Championship. All right, so that's how we wrap up the show tonight. Well, Kehinde, let me thank you for your time on the show today.
It's always lovely,
always a pleasure. Of course, we take the conversation out of the studio and continue. And of course, you can also be a part of that conversation as well on Twitter and on Facebook. Talk to us about all the things we've discussed on the show tonight. Okay, we're going to be back here tomorrow to take you on a trip across the money spinning world. So, but for now, it's bye-bye.